Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, with a review of the Purge Anarchy, released in 2014 and written/directed by series creator James DeMonaco. Anarchy is the first sequel in the ongoing Purge franchise. The original film was a pretty forgettable home invasion movie, but it had a novel premise behind it, which was enough to make it a hit. The first film was just an obvious launchpad for a franchise, a formality required to get an idea off the ground and acquire a higher budget to actually properly realize said idea proposed in the first film. What if murder in America was legal for one night a year?
This is your emergency broadcast system, announcing the commencement of the annual Purge, sanctioned by the U.S. government.
Anarchy immediately establishes the Purge franchise as essentially an anthology series that takes place in the same universe with a new set of characters at the center of each film who deal with the same problem of surviving or participating in the Purge. Because of this, each film is standalone, so you can honestly skip the first movie without missing much.
We can enter any home we want, and we will want, as wanting is our will on this fine night.
While the first film took place in a house in an isolated private community, Anarchy takes place closer to where the action is in downtown Los Angeles, and deals with a more relatable collection of characters as opposed to Ethan Hawke's wealthy elitist family.
If you're not purging, we advise you to get off the streets as quickly as possible.
The film opens in a Denny's 2 hours before the next Purge starts, and I gotta say, it's nice to know that I'll still be able to order a French toast slam right before murder becomes legal for 12 hours.
You get home now, Eva. It's getting late. Stay safe.
You too, Mr. Sabian.
One of the main characters is a waitress at the diner named Eva, who has a teenage daughter interested in an anti-purge movement led by the late Michael K. Williams.
I saw his protest posters all around the neighborhood. He lives here, Papa. He's just like us.
And Eva also has an elderly father played by Bill Cosby.
Look, Papa, maybe it doesn't do anything, but can you just take it?
Adding the characters is a couple strongly considering separation on their way home from the grocery store, which feels like fucking horrendous timing to be out at all an hour before murder becomes legal just to grab a quart of milk and some eggs.
Can you unlock the car, please?
It's unlocked.
No, it's not.
There.
Rounding out the main cast is Leo Barnes, a sergeant of the LAPD played by Frank Grillo, who is on a vengeful hunt during the Purge and is also the only one of the main characters who is actually competent in a fight.
You can't go out there. You know how dangerous
You
it
need to go.
is.
You need to leave.
Right out of the gate, the sequel is a huge improvement over the original film. You actually get to see the world of the Purge, no longer confined to the claustrophobic setting of a single house, and we get a broader idea of how things are from different perspectives. It turns out that the Purgers aren't just rich kids wearing goofy masks. They can also be poor kids wearing goofy masks. Look at that guy's mask. It has the word God written on it, because that's how he sees himself on this day, as God above other mortals, free to do whatever he wishes. Holy shit, man. That is so deep. Along with the lower classes' take on the Purge, though, we also get a better idea of how the wealthy exploits the night and the classes below them. Some of the elite host auctions of the poor abducted off the streets, forced to be hunted in a weird paintball version of the most dangerous game. Some of the poor, though, in order to benefit their families, offer themselves up as a sacrifice to the rich, like Eva's father, Bill Cosby here.
Dearest Eva and Kelly, I'll be a martyr to a wealthy family tonight.
God, could you imagine having Bill Cosby all to yourself in a room, able to do whatever you wanted to him? Oh man, just think about it. We're left just to imagine it, unfortunately. It's really wacky, though, because Eva and her daughter are just left a note by the old man telling them that he's being willingly, brutally murdered by white people off screen, and they just have to accept it and shrug it off, I guess. It's so weird.
We can do something about this. I don't know what, but we can still do something about it.
Stop. He's gone. He's gone.
Okay, so the sequel, like the original, isn't exactly nuanced with its social satire, but hey, at least it's better than just watching talking heads and hearing goofy monologues by college kids. The world building is better, but the actual story, though, is only a bit of an upgrade over the first film. The estranged couple are pursued by street toughs and are unable to find a corpse-free dumpster to hide in. Simultaneously, Eva and her daughter, Callie, are threatened with rape by that guy who plays gang members in literally every movie.
You better prepare yourself tonight, because tonight, it's motherfucking our bitch. That's right, because it's Diego's night.
But luckily, the women are saved by an armed militia that intend to abduct the women themselves, but at least they aren't creepy about it. Barnes witnesses people in trouble, and, against his better judgment, he rescues them, and the ungrateful group he saves really insists that he continue to protect them, or else their deaths will be on his hands, even though he didn't have to rescue them in the first place. Dear God damn.
Where are you going?
I got somewhere to be before the sun comes up. I can't take you with me. You'll slow me down.
So yeah, the plot is this cop seeking revenge, but because he's still a nice guy, despite participating in state-sponsored genocide, Barnes is willing to temporarily derail his plans to babysit some people who didn't prepare for the holiday.
We're gonna have people in front of us and we're gonna have people behind us. As long as we move, we'll be fine.
It would have been cool if this was more like Escape from New York, with a larger-than-life anti-hero only looking out for himself on this night to carry out a job, only helping those who can actually benefit him, or even just a character who seems irredeemable but eventually redeems himself by the end. But Barnes has a save-the-cat moment early on in the film. He makes it clear we're supposed to like him, and he's ultimately a good man who goes out of his way to protect the other characters, just out of a vague promise that he'll get to borrow a car in order to carry out his revenge faster.
I can get you a car. If you get us there safely, you can take a car and do what you have to do.
But doy, it's Purge night. He could just steal any other car out in the streets. It's obvious Barnes just wants any excuse he can to make sure these people are safe, or else he'll feel guilty about it later.
Why'd you help us?
I saw you. You were putting up a hell of a fight.
I don't know, to me it just feels like the movie is holding itself back from going too far. It's willing to say that as soon as the clock strikes 7 p.m., your neighbor is going to try to rape you at gunpoint, or your wife is going to kill you in a crowded room without a second thought because you cheated on her.
I read all your emails, you cheating motherfuckers!
But there's still good out there, people willing to selflessly sacrifice themselves for others. There should still be some sense of hope that people can still be good, otherwise the movie would be totally bleak. I just wish there was a bit more of an interesting journey to get to that point. There's just a lack of conflict between the characters along the way. It just feels like a series of weightless scenes to fill time between brief action until eventually the clock strikes 7 a.m. and the movie has to end as quickly as possible. I feel like more time is being killed instead of people in this Purge movie. The villains in the original film were lousy, but they were kinda memorable in a poorly written way. But with the sequel, there's a lack of a central antagonist throughout, and the Purgers that are encountered are paper thin in their characterizations. But it wouldn't matter that much if they were at least cool. It's weird because these movies have an over-the-top world filled with unnuanced satire, but instead of having over-the-top archetypes filling the screen like in a Mad Max movie, the actual characters, both hero and villain, are bland.
Blessed be America, a nation reborn.
Though some of them do wear interesting costumes that really make you think. Man, he wears that god mask because he's, to us, a god among men. Okay, it's fucked up, but the guy who wears the goofy god mask is future Academy Award nominee Lakeith Stanfield, but he barely does anything in the movie, barely has any lines.
Why haven't you just killed us already?
We're not purging tonight. We don't need to kill anyone.
Michael K. Williams' Carmelo Johns could have been an interesting character as this anti-Purge freedom fighter, but his whole purpose is to offer an expository counterpoint to the Purge, and a lot like the stranger in the first movie, act as a deus ex machina who saves the day at the last minute.
Fuck you! Fuck your money! And motherfuck the Purge!
It's hard to get engaged with these movies, either through the narrative or even the action, because you don't get to see the characters grow as humans and as survivors so they can actually fight back on their own. You know that somebody's going to just pop in and solve all their problems immediately. It's a very hollow, superficial approach to storytelling.
Now run.
Run! Run!
The Purge Anarchy is easily better than the first movie, but it's still hard for me to care about anything that happens in it because of the bland characters, and there's not enough cool stuff in the movie to make up for the core blandness. Fingers crossed I'm into the next movies. Third time's the charm. I give the Purge Anarchy a god mask out of Bill Cosby mask. Oh man, that mask is such a profound statement about the appreciation of Jell-O pudding pops. Jell-O pudding pops. Rhodey! If you liked this video, like it, and if you loved it, click the subscribe and bell buttons for more vids. I'd also like to thank these fine folks pledged my shout-out tier on Patreon for all their kind support. Videos like this wouldn't be possible without all their help. Thank you for watching, see you next time. Dr. Wolfula signing out.